Hey guys, CBI here today with another install video. Today we're going to be focusing on the Toyota 2nd Gen Sequoia, and we're going to be installing the ladder. Let's get to it. Alrighty guys, so before we start, let's do a little double check and make sure we have absolutely everything we need that comes in the shipping box. You're going to have the ladder components, obviously. You're going to have your 2 side rails. You're going to have your ladder top cap, your top hook bracket. You're going to have your bottom hatch bracket, and you're going to have all your rungs. You're going to have your double-sided VHB adhesive pad. You're going to have a single-sided adhesive neoprene pad, and you're going to have your hardware kit. So let's do it. Alrighty guys, so for this first step, what we're going to do is we're actually going to assemble the rungs onto these side ladder rails. And how we're going to do that is we're going to grab these little 1/4-20 carriage bolts with a black washer and with a black nylock nut. How we're going to do that is we're just going to take our ladder rung here. We're just going to mate it up using these mounting holes here. You can see the mounting holes all the way down the ladder. There are going to be some extra mounting holes, but that's so that you can adjust the ladder rungs however you want to. But for this install, we're going to start at the very top pair of holes, and then we're going to skip a set as we go down with the rungs. We'll show you guys that right now. So just line up your rungs, take your carriage bolt, run it through those square holes in the rung, and so you get it all the way through. Okay. And then on the back side is when you're going to want one of those little washers and one of those little nylock nuts. So we're going to go through the whole thing. We're going to start placing in all of those carriage bolts. Alrighty guys, so before we actually cinch these all the way down, what we're gonna wanna do to make sure that these rungs are square, that they're not tilted at all, we're gonna wanna install this ladder top cap here. So how we're gonna do that, you're gonna orient yourselves towards the top of the ladder, which is this side that has a more aggressive bend towards the end. And you're gonna use these 1.5 long 5/16 18 screws with a washer and a corresponding nylock nut. And what we're gonna do is, in fact, we're going to do this upside down. Now that we have all those rungs right there, there we go. Now, same thing, we're going to take this top cap and we're going to take it and place it on the inside like that, so the top's facing out that way. And then we're going to take our screws with our washers, start running them here through the sides. And then you're going to take your nylock and run them on the back side of that ladder side rail. Do that with all 4. Okay. Alrighty, so now all of those screws are started on there. So now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to cinch them down. And for that, you are going to need a 3/16 Allen and a 1/2 inch wrench. Pretty easy. You're going to want to make sure that is all secure. It's pushed up in the right spot. It's not kind of hanging off or anything weird like that. And then you're going to start and just cinch them all down. Okay, and like I said, doing this first is going to help make sure that your ladder is squared up, guys. You really don't want to try to tighten down those rungs first, because like I said, then it can get all weird and kind of at an angle. You don't want that. So. Okay, good to go there. Alrighty guys, so for this next part, what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually attach this ladder top cap to the top of the ladder here. How you can tell which way is the top of the ladder is it's gonna have this more aggressive bend here, where at the bottom it doesn't. So basically, what you're gonna wanna do for this part is you're gonna wanna take these 5/16 by 1.5 inch screws with a corresponding washer and a corresponding nylock. And you're gonna wanna run them all through the sides here, just like so that the logo is facing like that. I wouldn't tighten them down just yet though. You're gonna wanna tighten down your rungs first, that way your ladder doesn't kind of shift at a weird angle. So what we're gonna do is I just have them started, I don't have them cinched down just yet. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take a 7/16 wrench and we're gonna tighten down all those nylocks that are on the back of those carriage bolts on the back of the ladder. So you just wanna make sure, because you can see you can shift it. You're just gonna wanna make sure that your ladder's as squared up as possible and start tightening those down. That way your ladder keeps its nice squared up shape. Alrighty guys, now that we have those rungs all tightened down, now what we can do is we can take our 3/16 Allen and a 1/2 inch wrench, and we can finish cinching down this ladder top cap here. Pretty easy. Just take your Allen, like so, wrench like so, and just start tightening them down. Okay, and that's installed. Alrighty guys, so after we have the ladder top cap installed, what we're gonna wanna do now is we're gonna wanna fasten this little angled bracket to this bracket, or to the top cap here. But the first thing that we're gonna wanna do before we get to that, that makes it just a little bit easier for you, is you're gonna wanna attach or adhere this VHB pad to the bottom side of this face here. That way it's all ready to go when we actually go to hook it under, or in between the hatch and the rest of the vehicle. So let's do that real quick. We have this top hatch bracket here. As you can see, the VHB pad does match the profile of it pretty well. However, this is a pretty universal pad that we do use for a lot of different models. So this will require a little bit of trimming. As you can tell, when you made it up here, the top part does get a little bit long. So what you're gonna wanna do, and I already have this pre-marked, is you're gonna wanna cut about 1 inch off of this top portion here. You can use scissors, whatever you have. You're gonna wanna make sure that's cut. That way it fits this profile really well and doesn't stick out or anything weird. So here we go. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take off this cardboard side first, and we're going to follow the profile at that as best as we can here. And usually how I like to do it is I like to watch for these front edges first. That's kind of how I use it to locate. Kind of leaning over this whole table here though, so we're rolling. And then you're gonna wanna pull it back like this, and you're going to want to roll it up underneath into that corner as best as you can. And then take your fingers and really jam it down into there so that it sits deep into that corner so that it can actually hook over your vehicle as much as possible. Okay, there you go. Also, a little extra tip, if you just so happen to not be able to get that deep down into that channel like you want to, and it's kind of sticking out a little bit, you can always take a knife and just kind of take that knife and cut through that section that isn't sticking down all the way. Then that way those can kind of lay down completely flat, and you can get it as deep as you can onto that hatch, because you'll want to get it as snug as you can. So a little extra tip, if you manage to not get it stuck down in there super good, take a knife, cut it. So now that we have this top bracket prepped with that VHB pad, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna fasten it to this top cap. As you can see, we already have these little inserted press nuts that are already attached. And so what you're gonna need another 5/16 screw, but these ones are only 3/4 inch long. You're gonna need another corresponding washer in that same size. You won't need a nut because you've already got these. And then you're going to take this bracket and have this face with the press certs on the backside. And you're gonna wanna slip it behind the ladder top cap. And then you're just gonna thread in your 3/4 inch 5/16 screws. Just like that. And usually we leave them, because it is slotted here, so you have some adjustment. Usually when we first start, I push them all the way to the top of the slot. And then when you get on the vehicle, if it needs to come down more, you can loosen them up and pull them down a little bit just to give you a little bit of adjustment so it fits just right. So, okay. And then once it gets to a point where you can't do it with your hands anymore, grab your 3/16 Allen and cinch them down. Just like that. Alrighty guys, so now the next step, we've got all of our rungs attached, we've got the ladder top cap, now we've got the hook bracket attached. What we're gonna do is we're gonna find the correct position on the vehicle itself, then we're gonna mark it with a piece of tape, and we're gonna prep to drill holes in the bottom of the hatch. Let's do it. Alrighty guys, so we've got the ladder right here, pretty well assembled without the bottom bracket. You're not gonna want that yet. So now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna actually hook this thing in between the hatch and the rest of the vehicle, and then we're gonna find our good side-to-side measurement point. You're gonna want something soft, rags, jacket, blanket, whatever you have, to keep the ladder from swinging into the vehicle in the meantime, okay? So what you're gonna do, you're gonna very softly hook the vehicle in, or hook the ladder into the vehicle, And then we're gonna use those soft rags, just brace it up, just like that. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to figure out the exact measurement of side to side where this is gonna sit at its best point, right? And so we've got that ready for you. Tape measure, ruler, whatever you have at home. You're going to want to measure off of this edge right here and on this very inside edge of that rubber trim piece, okay? So from here to here, you're going to need to be 5 3/4 inches from the inside of that trim piece to this first ledge on the bracket, okay? Then what we're gonna do is we're going to mark that with a piece of tape. Just a little bit more. Okay guys, as you can see right there, from the inside of that rubber trim piece to this edge, you are 5 3/4 inches away. So now what we're gonna do, set that somewhere safe, and then you're gonna take your piece of tape and you're going to put a temporary marker up against that ledge because we're going to have to take the ladder off here in a second. But now you have that spot saved, okay? And now we're gonna focus on the bottom bracket that goes up underneath the hatch, and we're gonna focus on the points where you need to drill in now. Let's do it. Okay, alrighty guys, so before we get to that part where we actually make the marks for drilling, we're gonna wanna prep this bottom bracket as well too. In your kit, you're going to get this 6-inch long neoprene pad. This is gonna go in this little crevice here in the bottom of the bracket because that's right where it hooks around the bottom of your hatch, just to give it a little bit of extra protection so you don't have any crazy marring or scratching of your paint. This is a single-side adhesive as well. So all you are going to do is same thing, unpeel, and you're gonna wanna make sure that as best as you can, this neoprene is centered just down in that crevice. This is not an exact science. Doesn't need to be overcomplicated, anything like that. You just need to set it in there and make sure it is pressed up there nice and tight. Make sure it's adhered well. There you go. Now you're ready to protect the bottom side of your hatch. And now let's install this on the rest of the ladder. Alrighty guys, so now for this next portion, we're gonna show you how to actually fasten the bottom bracket to the bottom of the ladder underneath the hatch. We're gonna show you where you're gonna need to mark for drilling. For this next portion though, I do recommend you have a helper hold the ladder in place as you're opening up the hatch. That way the ladder doesn't go forward in that crack and actually scratch some of your paint and damage some of the vehicle. So same thing as that ladder top cap, we're gonna have 1.5 long 5/16 screws with a corresponding washer and a corresponding nylock nut. And you're gonna run them the exact same way as you did on the ladder top cap through the sides here and through the ladder side rails. But you're gonna have to do it with the hatch open while you're inserting this up underneath the hatch, okay? So let's do that real quick. It's kind of nice to get a little bit of a lower level. That way you can see it really easy when that hatch opens up because you don't wanna open it a ton, okay? So, luckily on this 2nd gen Sequoia, it does have a powered lift gate, but if you grab it just by the normal hatch down here, it won't automatically open. And that's gonna make your life a lot easier when you're trying to do this, instead of trying to fight that powered lift gate. Okay. Lost that one. I'm grabbing a spare one that we've got there. Now keep in mind guys, this is not the final install. All we are doing is getting the ladder in the position so that we can mark it for drill. We are gonna have to pop it back off so we can drill and then we'll reassemble it at the end, okay? So, finish getting this all bolted up. Okay, so now that those are all started guys, once again, you're gonna wanna take your 3/16 Allen and your 1/2 inch wrench. You're gonna wanna fasten those down tight so you can see right where it's gonna sit so you can mark it, okay? Okay, alrighty guys, so now we're pretty well in position. Now we're gonna be able to tell where we're gonna have to mark for this next little part. So as you can see, if you push up a little bit, that ladder will locate that face against the bottom of your hatch. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna mark it in those slots. We're gonna drill a 3/8 hole. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna open up all these plastics on the inside of the hatch, place this mounting plate on the inside of the vehicle, and run some fasteners into it, and then it's installed, okay? So let me grab a Sharpie real quick, and then I'll mark this. Okay guys, here we go. So now we have the bracket where it is. You're going to want to push it into that utmost position to where you are making contact, okay? Make sure you're all squared up. And then you can take your Sharpie and just kind of fill in those ovals. Ooh, I'm not as good with my left hand. Okay, that's it. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this all back off and we're gonna prep it for drilling, and then we're gonna reassemble the ladder all back together, and then we'll be able to place those fasteners into that mounting plate, and then we'll be done. Yep. Just like that. Alrighty guys, so now what we're gonna do, open up the hatch again. We've got a hammer, a center punch, and a drill with a stepper bit. You don't have to have a stepper bit, but it does make it nice. But I want to get all the way up to a 3/8 inch hole. So now we're going to open this back up, how we had it. And you're going to see your ovals where you marked. So I'm gonna take my center punch here. You don't have to have a center punch, but it does make it a lot better. And we're gonna go right smack dab in the center. Then we're gonna take our drill. I'm gonna step it up all the way up to that 3/8 inch hole, okay? All right, as you guys can see, we have our ovals with our little center punches. You're gonna take your bit and just proceed to drill through. Alrighty guys, so now for this next part, we're gonna show you how to pop off these inner plastics here so that you can fish this little mating plate to the inside of that face so that we can mount that bottom bracket to it, okay? Pretty simple. Usually I like to use a little pry tool. If it's a brand new vehicle, you probably will need this because they're gonna be tough. And you're also gonna need a pretty large, probably like a number 3 Phillips head for this little piece right here. You should only have to pop off the driver's side for the most part, because we'll be able to get pretty well direct access right through here. You won't have to take the whole thing off, okay? So starting here, just wanna grab on to where's my pry piece? The plastic, kind of get underneath there. If you give them a little tug, they should pop right off. Pretty easy, pretty standard. Okay, you just set that piece right there in the meantime. Leave it right there, okay? You don't have to worry about this little kickstand. You don't have to remove or anything. This plastic piece actually slips down over top of it, so don't worry about trying to remove it or anything like that. Same thing, just get your fingers underneath it and give it a nice little tug. It'll pop, it'll slip down just like that. You can just leave it right there, okay? For the main piece, all you have to do, same thing, get your fingers underneath right here by the window. Like I said, if it's not a new vehicle and this has been done, they'll usually pop off pretty easy. Give it a nice little tug like that, and reveal just enough. Oh yeah, we're gonna want to remove that first. Screwdriver, Phillips. Remove this piece. Because this piece will prevent you from being able to take that off. See that, how it kind of fell down a little bit? Okay, and once that piece is out, there you go. Okay, as you can see guys, we only had to take off about half of this. And as you can see, pretty easy access into that interface. This is where you're gonna take this little mating plate here, and you're going to want to have your bottom mounting bracket prepped, ready to go, and these little 5/16 bolts, these little shiny grade 8 ones you see here. We're going to want to fish our arm up in here. Usually it helps if you lower it just a tad. Okay, and it's at this point where you're gonna wanna take this bracket. So same thing, we're going to grab that mating plate and make sure that's lined up. Then you're going to want to run, this is also a 5/16 bolt. And I wouldn't cinch this down all the way because we still have to line up our side rails, and it's always good to have a little bit of extra place so that you can realign those back up and fasten everything back together at the end. Okay, alrighty guys, here we go. Now it is actually time to remove the back side of this adhesive and actually permanently hook it onto the hatch of this, this vehicle here. You're gonna wanna make extra sure you place this right the first time, because taking off this VHB will ruin it, and you'll have to get another one from us or something like that. So take your time, make sure you have someone here to help you, okay? So we're gonna take off this adhesive on the back side. Make sure you don't allow anything to touch it. And guys, before you actually stick this down, you're gonna wanna make sure that you clean this area really well, water it down. You could even use a little bit of alcohol too to wipe off the area too to prep it. But usually just water, hot water, clean it off really good, make sure it's dried really good before you adhere it. So, okay, all right, I'm going to locate the bottom half of the ladder in between those little locating pieces, and then Arthur here is going to help us get that yeah. Good enough? Good enough? Okay. Cool. So now that that's adhered and you use that little marker for your tape, now you can worry about the bottom bracket again, and you're just gonna run those same fasteners you had before, those 5/16 by 1.5 inch long screws, and you're just gonna finish up fastening the ladder. Okay, and then you're just gonna wanna make sure that those bolts in the bottom are fastened down completely, like we talked about earlier. Okay, and the very last little step, guys, that we have for you, in order to prevent any other extra corrosion or anything from water or anything get inside of these holes, we provide you with these little caps. Pretty simple, all you have to do is just place them over those holes and press them down. Alrighty guys, so that wraps up the ladder install for the 2nd gen Toyota Sequoia ladder. If you guys have any sort of questions or have any doubts, make sure to reach out to us in the comments below. And that's it guys, we'll see you on the trails. Thanks.